Hey guys, what's going on? Chase, EVERBULLISH, the Stock Sherpa on YouTube. It's Sunday. It's a great day here in the Hill Country. I want to go over some trades. I'm excited about the week coming up. I want to have a couple conversations, particularly about my number one stock of the year. The inspiration for that song, which is DMX. We all know what happened there, but this song is called Ride Till I Die, and we're going to be talking about Lordstown here at the end of this. But every Sunday, as you know, I do a Sunday recap. I talk about three swing trades that I like, some other trades that I have going on, recap the week, look at the week ahead. So let's get right into it. Again, that song was DMX, Ride Till I Die. All right, we're going to go to EVERBULLISH.com. We're going to go to day trades. Oh, we better get to the one that I just made, huh? I'm sorry, we're not going to go to day trades. We're going to go to investing articles. Sorry, it's still early in the morning. This is a Sunday recap. So April 18th, Sunday recap. WTF with Ride. Major swing trades and market commentaries. So everybody who's following me, I'm trying to teach you guys my process, what seems to be working and what doesn't. So the biggest thing for me when it comes to swing trading in particular, and also just kind of creating a hypothesis for where the market's going to go the week ahead of you, is we have to take an inventory, and that inventory is going to be what happened last week and where is our stable footing. So last week we had materials, utilities, consumer discretionary, healthcare, and financials. The first four that I mentioned there all the way through healthcare were over 5%, over 2.8% last week. So I always look for what's kind of around 3 and going up. So that kind of gives me an idea of some momentum. Consumer staples, financials, industrials, real estate were roughly flat. And then communication services, IT, and energy were kind of the laggers. So I should say communication services was actually the worst, but I'm not particularly invested there unless it's in my dividend portfolio, which has AT&T. So anywho, so that's where we are with that. What do we learn from that? All right, energy has been a lagger 2 weeks in a row. If you follow my blog, you'd see that. And information technology was the highest performer the week before, and it bounced up with the NASDAQ after the interest rate conversation that ain't going away, but it also ain't really affected anything. So I'm still super bullish on IT, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a sec. So anyway, that's where we are. Typically when materials and utilities and healthcare and financials are higher on the list, that tells us what, right? That tells us that we're going in a defensive posture. There was no real earnings last week. There was kind of a party's over hangover feel to the majority of the market last week. It was a stale week. It was not really a trader's week. I managed to make some money, and hopefully you did too. But these sector performances don't really scare me. What I'll typically do after a week like that is just peg on what's on the bottom. So that'll bring up one of the trades that I'm talking about. So let's get right to it. My swing trades. I'm doing the LabU. I know you're tired of hearing about it, but I don't really care because I'm making you money. The LabU rinse and repeat is working like a charm. I'm going to keep doing it until it doesn't. So we're going to rinse and repeat from last week. Let me pull up Yahoo real quick so I can do a dual screen here. We're going to do LabU. I think it's somewhere in the 60s. All right, it's at 70. It was down 4.5%, almost 5% actually, last week on Friday. So what we're gonna do is, if this thing's down again tomorrow, particularly in the morning, if it's down anything meaningful, so a negligible change of 1 or 2% doesn't move me either way. Let's say it's down 4 or 5%, I'm gonna buy it. I already own it. I mentioned buying more on Friday, but I'll buy some more, and then we'll just wait for it to bounce back. So this is the biotech and the so biotech industry, sorry, the 3 times on the biotech. But what that really means is that we have exposure to the healthcare, we have exposure to pharma, we have exposure to and to technology and research, and then also we're moving on that exposure 3 times. So any time that I see the NASDAQ breaking a severe correlation with LabU, and then you chart it, and I mean, look at this chart. This is the most tradable chart you'll ever see. So what do you think has more upside? When when we're hitting all-time highs in the market? Do we think that pharmaceutical and biotechnology and research companies are going to grow like oak trees or like acorns? And the answer to me is like acorns. So we have a lot of growth there. The market is all over the same places I am, the EV space, the digital banking space, the DeFi space. I don't think biotech's getting a lot of pub. I don't think it needs a lot of pub. I think this is a super, super easy trade. I like it. If it drops more, I love it. If it drops more, I love it even more. All right, we're done with LabU. Let's get off that. I think I drove my point home. GBTC, I mentioned this on Friday. I mentioned this on Thursday. There's a pattern there, and that pattern is broken over this weekend. I'm not afraid to admit it. Unlike many brokers and traders, I really don't care to admit when I'm wrong. I actually need to find out. We'll see what happens though, because this is still trading at a discount. So Bitcoin, which I'm going to move on to next, Bitcoin fell obviously in the opposite direction that I expected it to over the weekend. So the pattern broke. Most weekends from Thursday to Tuesday, we'll see that Bitcoin takes off. And I think that has to do with the lack of a lot of people trading on the weekends in domestic markets. And I also think it just has a lot to do with when the institutional money clears. So GBTC is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Fidelity has a new one coming out that's going to track an index, but it's not really a Bitcoin trust. We have all kinds of banks and all kinds of retailers and all kinds of Tesla and all these other companies that are jumping on, and we have Coinbase that just IPO'd. What I think is happening is a lot of people are going to Dogecoin and all these other altcoins out there. There's over 4,000, as I mentioned before, but and they're working. Look, no hate. I told you I don't trade cryptos because I'm not smart enough, but I think that there's also a lot of dumb money there. I think there's a ton of dumb money in that pool, and there's a lot of people that, especially with the digital wallet, if that's the way that you're trading this, you're going to just be converting all the time. So I think what happened is a lot of people that were just dipping their toe in the pond, or let's say in the cold swimming pool, decided to take their money out of Bitcoin and buy Dogecoin or Ripple or any of these other altcoins out there, and they just got smacked in the face over the weekend. And I'm smiling because that's what happens in trading, and that's how we learn our lessons and we take our lumps. But what's going to happen is that institutional money and that retail money, the institutional money is already going directly to Bitcoin. No institutions are talking about how they're giving Dogecoin for their purchases or whatever. We don't see NFL players getting their contract signed in Dogecoin yet. But Bitcoin's the one with all the infrastructure. It's the one that'll be there forever. So GBTC, buy more. I'm buying more. And also, it's still trading at a discount. So like right now it's at 52, and it's supposed to be spot pricing the average daily balance of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's at 55 right now. As I wrote this, it was at 55, and it's mid-morning on Sunday. So that's my trade. Here's the deal. I mentioned this in the article, but it's kind of hard to explain in text. So that's why I always do a video along with these. The GBTC trade is, look, I like it long term. I think it's okay short term. It looks like maybe for ultra short term, like tomorrow or the next day, it might not be a turnaround swing trade, but it still might be because it's trading at a discount. Those are three things I like. I'm going to keep it easy. I'm going to keep it simple. That's the point. And if it's wrong, I'll just buy more of it, because in a year, I don't think Bitcoin's going to be less than what it is now. In a month, I don't think it's going to be less than what it is now. If it is, that's cool, because I can then buy more. So I've driven that point home too. We're done on GBTC. We're gonna move on. Where are my other swing trades at? Yeah, there we go. So I need to amend that. We got my last trade. There we are. Sorry about that. So EOG, here's the other trade. Normally I'm using either 3 times levered or 3 times indices to make my swing trades happen and to make the appropriate amount of return. I published this last week. We made somewhere around 12 to 16% in LabU if you're following me, and somewhere around 10 to 12% in TQQQ. If you're following me, if you follow my social media, you'll see that I actually will send out messages on when I'm clipping it. So if you want to follow, you can follow. If not, you can be your own daddy on those. But the point is, you're becoming a better trader. So enough self-promotion. EOG, Enron Oil and Gas. The energy sector, as I mentioned, sold off a little bit, and there's 2 ways to speculate. I can sit there and do all the research in the world and go, okay, well, which company didn't drop as much, and which company has a lower correlation, and where am I going to get the best bang for my buck? Or I could just take the one that I like the most, that I think is the best, that has returned incredibly well, and that I trust the management of, and all of those other things that I believe about Enron Oil and Gas. And then I'll just look at it on a chart and I'll just decide whether I want to think it'll go up or down. Pretty good, right? Technical analysis at its best. So the technical pattern looks like this thing's bouncing at a low somewhere around 68, 69, at a high somewhere around 60, I'm sorry, that's, yeah, 68, 69, up to 75. If you can see there, hopefully a little bit better. But I'm just betting that we're going to catch a couple good updates. I mean, the sector's been the bottom of the barrel the last 2 weeks. I'm not a dogs of the Dow guy. I don't really care about buying dead cats, but this is something that if I had to guess we're going to go up or down, it'd go up. We're not flipping coins. It's a better company than most. If all things stay true and stable in the market, I believe that this will be up in the week, and I believe it's up in a month, and then we go back to that year. So with these swing trades, it's kind of nice to have that net of being wrong. And then the final piece of this is it's easy to manage around an individual position like this. A lot of ETFs you can't trade options on. A lot of ETFs you can't dip trade and buy and sell throughout the day. Obviously, when it comes to well, you can with all ETFs. I take that back, but there are a myriad of ways I could put a straddle on this, or I could put a collar on it, or make sure to get my money back out of it. But it's something I still like. So EOG, that's the other one. And then if you're a Super Bowl like I am, you can throw some options again, so some calls on it. And we'll get to that in just a second. Earnings calendar, a ton of things going on in the earnings calendar. I'm running up on time here, so I'm gonna compress this, but also this is my long video, so deal with it. I'm giving you the keys. IBM, Coca-Cola, United Airlines. This week is packed, and it's kind of potpourri this week. It's all over the place. Every sector is reporting. What else do we have on here? We got Travelers Insurance. We got P&G and J&J. Couple dividend payers on the same day. I would bet anything that those beat or match earnings expectations. But I don't really play with dividends too much. I do make a portfolio for dividend payer, old man dividend payers, but I don't really care about that. Netflix, that's going to be a big one. There's a lot of tech companies on here too. There's some healthcare. We got Lamb. We have Dow Chemical on Thursday. So take a look at it. I don't really care to go over this too much, but what pops out at me is I did mention this, and I hope somebody's reading very deeply in here, but I think Discover is a great buy. Discover credit cards, Discover financial company. Go ahead and throw that one on your watch list. I added it directly to my ready list. I didn't even put it on the watch list. So if you chart that, you'll see some really nice patterns there. All right, let's get to it, man. This is going to be no fun for me. I'm very, 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 very disappointed in this truck right here. You can't really see it there. The Lordstown Endurance PR nightmare that was the San Felipe 220 or 250 this week. They also call it the Baja 250, but it's not really the same. I don't even think it's affiliated with the Baja races. Don't quote me on that. Don't fight me on that. Here's the deal. We've got a company that is manufacturing and first to market when it comes to electric, simple, powerful, efficient, all the utility of a normal truck, and it's electric, and they're selling to fleets, and they have pre-orders that we've had to call into question based on the language and syntax of Steeper and the CEO. We had this PR, I hope it was a PR stunt, but if it was a PR stunt, you know, we're going to put this up there with Terrell Owens and some other really botched PR stunt. This is really just a dumpster fire, in my opinion. So if you don't know, we've been waiting. A lot of enthusiasts in the EV market, a lot of enthusiasts of ride, a lot of traders, a lot of investors, a lot of workers at the Lordstown factory, a lot of people and institutions have been riding on the Lordstown success here. The stock has been absolutely obliterated by Hindenburg, and this was a great opportunity to go out there, take your truck. So they outfitted their endurance truck, they lifted it, and they were going to race it in a race very similar to the Baja. Just think about it like the famous Baja race, endurance race. It made it 39 miles, and it needed a recharge. It then supposedly helped a a wrecked driver or a different vehicle get back to safety. I don't even know how true that is. I do know that they stop the entire course when the race is going on so that there's not a big pile up. So if they were lucky enough to have that happen in front of them, then they could turn this into a great story of how the endurance came to the rescue. That's what it felt like. I was just really jacked yesterday watching this on YouTube and Twitter. And then they went off track and they went back to a highway. And I don't even remember. There's been a lot of speculation and reasons on why that was. And then they recharged the vehicle for the second time, I believe. They then turned back around, got back on track, and then they say that they were told that they could not get back on the racetrack. So they went home. And that would be fine if this was a race, if they were the only EV truck in the race. And this is what I'm very bearish on. I'm gonna lay this out there if you can't tell by the tone of my voice here. I don't think anything good comes from showing the public that you are incapable of making it 40 miles in a race. And if you are, you don't race the race. I just cannot believe that they would put this out there like that. The number one rule in sales, I wrote this on here because I was fired up, and I'm not going to change my mind. This is just such bullshit. The number one rule in sales is you never ask a question that you don't know the answer to. I got that from a buddy of mine on a text message the other day, so shout out. But you don't put yourself out there like this, especially after having the Hindenburg article, and especially after having all the shorts, and especially after doing a really bad job on Kramer multiple times, and having it accused of you of having pre-orders and for anything fraudulent. The last thing you want to do is go out there and do this. The second piece of that I was going to go on before I got too wily here is it right. Come on, Lordstown, come on. You got there. It would be one thing if you were the only EV truck in the race, but the word is that there was another EV truck that was hand built by a Tesla engineer. Not good that a Tesla engineer can build this with his hands. That made it over 150 miles. I believe he finished the race. I stopped following it because I was so pissed off. But they finished the race, and it has a Nissan Leaf battery, and it's an old FJ Cruiser, or not FJ Cruiser, but an old Toyota FJ. So a guy hand built a truck, and it beat your incredible factory with incredible workers and incredible employees and incredible R&D and $2 billion behind you to get started. Don't race the race. Steve Burns, come on, man. This is unbelievable. I get that this is an everyman truck, and I get that you're not Elon Musk, and you're not somebody that is particularly selling the sizzle here, but we need something. And if you can't do it, it's not like you don't have the money to hire a PR firm. But I can't get there with this unless the only thing I can think is that there's going to be some type of PR that no one knows about that's going to come out. But I'm pissed about it. It's trading at $9 right now. I still put it at 30 to 40. I liked it. I think still up until this thought that it was going to be a $50 stock. But when you add this many skeptics and cynics to the story that's already got a little bit of smell of stink on it, it's a little bit harder. So with all of that being said, now it's time to flip it. This is the reason that I write all the articles that I write, and the reason that I make these company write-ups and I spend a lot of time on it is because I want to have some fundamental changes. What has fundamentally changed if you take the race out of it? We had institutional big boys, so Fidelity, Vanguard, and with Vanguard, I want to clarify this. So that's a mindless investment, right? So their job is to track the emerging market sector, or in this case, like a total stock market sector. They have to buy percentages of companies that hold that market cap percentage. So when Vanguard buys it, it doesn't mean shit. But what does mean shit is that Fidelity bought it in the growth company fund, T. Rowe bought it, clean energy ETFs are buying it up and scooping it up like crazy. So there's more institutional inflows than outflows. And I've never actually seen as much purchasing across the board as I have with this. But I'm also watching a stock that's going from like a mid to small market cap down into emerging market cap. So who knows? And it's also in a sector that we don't really know about. So who knows? But I do like that. I do like that that Goldman put their price tag at target. I think it's at 29 right now. There's companies that have it at 40. There's companies that have it at 50. But here's the main thing. I would genuinely be looking to find a way to get out of this thing and ride it from it'll definitely hit at least 15 or 20 soon. sooner rather than later, and definitely before September. But if I was in a position to where I didn't, without this last piece of information, I'd be probably trying to slowly get out at that point and just buy something better. But I'm not, and here's why. Full disclosure, this is the #1 holding in the EVERBULLISH One portfolio. Full disclosure. But to keep with the theme of what I was going with here, here's why I'm not, and here's why I'm still bullish. And now it doesn't have anything to do with the company, and it doesn't have anything to do with the CEO, and it has very little to do with the truck itself and my faith in it. What it has to do with is this: you're first to market. You're first to market again in the electric vehicle truck with a very simple skateboard and the engine and the wheels. And whether it works or if it doesn't, you're going to sell a shitload of them, in my opinion, once we get them out there. But more than that, we have the trade winds behind us. We're being pushed and propelled by an administration and a movement of clean energy and a gigantic amount of investment. I believe it was $200 billion that Biden mentioned. So we're going to have a lot of investment and a lot of trade winds behind us. And then when you throw in the tax incentives of electric vehicles, particularly when it comes into public workspace, Washington State just passed a bill that by 2030 all vehicles have to be electric. I mean, we're just moving that direction rather than fight it, rather than just try to get bearish on one company and bullish on the other that's the best in the sector, because I'm done with that. I still like ride for that purpose. And also we've got the whole Voltage Valley thing going on. We've got the Everyman working on the truck. It's bringing back Youngstown, Ohio, or Lordstown, which is just outside of Youngstown, Ohio. I think you get my message, but super disappointment. Steve Byrne, you got to get it together. Burns, I always call him Burn. You got to get it together, man. This is a real bad look. All right. So that's what I got for now. And if you scroll to the end, and if you stayed the 20 minutes of my blabbering, you get my best option trade of the week. Go to the website, go to everbullish.com, look at it. I will tell you it's on EOG. I won't tell you the price. If you really care to, you can screenshot this and zoom in there. But it's on EOG. It's sometime this summer. I give you the strike and the option. So holler at your boy. Chase EverBullish, the Stock Sherpa on YouTube. Give me a follow, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you want to help, I do allow you to buy me a hypothetical cup of coffee for $7, which is lucky number 7 on my website. You can download my podcast at ivy.fm, the best podcast discovery app in the world. And please stay abreast on things that are going on. Follow my trades. We'll make some money. If you have any questions, I always respond. I'm here to help you out, and let's get rich.